everybody's on.
I don't think we
Yes, we could.
start till 5:30, right?
We said immediately
That's-
following, Chad, so it can start at any time.
Oh, it does. Okay, thanks.
Do we have Jody yet?
I'm here.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the special council meeting on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, we can do it here. Does that work?
There we go.
There we go.
Allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and
and
to
to the
the
republic
republic
for which
which
it
it
stands,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's got the slow internet? Okay, roll call
Isaacson,
here.
Strobush,
Here.
Leonard,
Here.
Planum,
Here.
Freeman Schneider,
Here.
Elkin.
Here.
Van Blaricom.
Here,
Okay, to start out with. We're gonna have a public hearing here.
Yes.
Okay, we have a public hearing to hear written and oral testimony regarding ordinance 09/2020 of the City of Amory Code of Ordinances pertaining to the annexation of certain city-owned properties from the town of Blackbrook. And that would be the piece of land 40 feet from Countryside
Yes,
into the city of Amory for the new industrial park road.
correct.
Okay.
just need a motion, Paul?
Unless anybody has anything to say about it, then we'll need a motion to close the public hearing.
Mhm. And then we can do that. Yep.
Nobody's on.
Do we have a motion? I guess that's what we're
Motion
looking
to
for.
close public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then we'll approve it.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 09/2020?
So moved. I make a motion to approve ordinance 09/2020.
Is that an agenda item or am I looking at the wrong agenda?
It's above, it's within the public hearing, Paul, or Tim.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, okay. I'll second the motion.
Julie, okay.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, item number 1, discussion recommendation from Finance Committee, Amory City Center budget plans.
So
So-
sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So last evening in the Finance Committee meeting, we had opportunity to look at the existing plans for the Amory Center building, and we had the opportunity to look at the proposed budget at this in time. And Jody from Ayers, and we had Market and Johnson on the line as well. They're here with us again tonight, so everybody has opportunity to hear what we heard at Finance last night. So Jody, I'm going to hand it off to you and take it away.
Thank you. I'm Jody Nelson with Ayers. I'm the project architect for this project. And so at this point, we're at the end of schematic design. And so that's why we had the presentation to the Finance Committee last night. And I can walk through a similar presentation tonight explaining where the process and where we stand at this point. Am I allowed to share my screen? I guess that would be one.
To be able to.
If someone can give me permission.
You should be able to right now.
Oh, okay. I'll try it. All right. So let me fix it. So you'll be able to see on the screen, you should be able to see what we have as the space program that basically we kind of did a pre-design phase kind of in August, in September, where we met with, toured all the existing spaces and met with each of the groups individually to talk about what they would need at the new city center building, and compiled that into a document that was reviewed with the building committee multiple times. So we basically have it broken down into kind of some public and shared areas, mostly the large meeting room that could be shared between the three entities, and a few other spaces such as shared staff break room was also discussed. Whoops. If you go to, then we also have the whole city hall area, and police has kind of their work area along with the police garage, and then the library and all their different areas between public areas, staff areas, and the collection and their meeting room needs. So there is kind of a summary page at the back. Oh, I forgot to mention just building support spaces for all the different mechanical, electrical spaces in the building. And so you would have kind of at the bottom here, you can see the summary of, this is the column of what was the this is what was proposed or was kind of in the original building program. And then this column here is what is actual and the plans that I'll walk through here shortly. So you can kind of see the comparison of, public, or what the square footages are in general. Because we're working within the footprint and tried to do as little demolition as possible and reuse many of the rooms, some of the square footages are a little skewed because of that. But in general, you'll see, how obviously we only have so much room within the building, along with the proposed addition for the police garage of around just under 2,400 square feet. So we're looking at 27,800 square feet for the total building. So then if I go to some floor plans here, you should be able to see the main level floor plan. North is to the left here. So that's kind of that existing north bank entrance here. There's the one that has kind of the ramp outside coming in. And basically on this level, there's quite a bit of heavy demolition on this whole west side here in order to open up the whole northern end, essentially for part of the library program that's shown in the purple colors. On the west end, kind of over here, then this was completely, mostly demolished in order to create a large meeting room, also with a council room off in the courtroom that could be partitioned off when this meeting room is in use and not the council dais or that is a courtroom. So kind of to protect that area. So that's kind of that yellow area. On the east side here, there's a whole bank of existing offices. And in the green, this would all be the new city hall. So off the main, on the main level here, off of that south entrance. There is, in essence, kind of a line of security between the, the library and then the city hall and public meeting rooms. So we do need to add another exit out for anybody in these areas, especially like evening time, you need to be able to exit. So we are proposing kind of a new hallway that could have some new restrooms, since there are no restrooms on this level, along with that shared staff break room. And then it does lead down to the new garage for the police that's shown in the blue here. And it's really 2 drive-through bays for the squad parking, the 4 vehicles, and then some other program spaces here. We're also looking at actually adding a new staircase here that's labeled as stair D that could take you up to the upper level floor plan here. And so you would have kind of the back, staff or the patrol officers being able to use that stairway to go down to the garage and then back up to their office area. But the public would come in that main entrance and use the elevator, the stairs over on the northeast corner. There is kind of a secured lobby at the top of that stair and a service counter. And then really this whole area, as I mentioned previously, is really just reusing a lot of the existing walls and spaces that are there already and doing as minimal demolition as possible. But there is, some new work up in this area just to get the program needs that they have. So one other comment I just want to make is, these large existing openings that are open to below. So we looked at infilling this one here, but just, when we started putting some dollars and some cost estimates together, we determined that it'd be better to leave that open and work with the square footage that was there, which is actually plenty to still meet the needs of the police department. But the one thing that we will have to do is, because those are partial height walls, we need to secure that off. So we'll have to add walls above that, and then also look at putting some glass in there to capture the light that's coming in and be able to still get some nice daylight in there. Not, there's a nice skylight here as well. So that is the upper floor plan. Then if I go down to the lower level, this whole level is essentially library spaces. So there's again, the kind of that main stair that would come down, or the elevator here on this kind of north half here is mostly children's area, young adult area, and a smaller circulation desk because of kind of the need of people potentially exiting out. So there's a circulation desk on this level as well. And then as you kind of go over to the older part of the bank building, this end is more of the adult seating and shelving areas. And then these two in the yellow boxes here are some other entities of the Women's City Club storage, Historical Society storage. Friends of the Library would be down in this area as well. On the lower level, there are quite a bit of the building support spaces of the mechanical and electrical room, and some building storage that will remain as is. And hopefully we can just, any new equipment would fit within those footprints already. I did realize I just kind of skipped over what was on the main level library, so I'll pop right back up here. So the library would utilize more of that north entrance, still keeping kind of that secure vestibule that's already in place at the bank. And they'd have a lot more of the circulation desk and staff spaces kind of on the east side, and then some more of like the public areas and more browsing areas. So this would be very open in that light purple color. The dashed line here kind of indicates where that opening is to the floor above that I discussed on the police level. So you can kind of see that here and here. Because we're adding some new rooms, obviously on this level, we will have to basically put in a false kind of like, cap on top of these as we describe it. So they'll be kind of a shelf in essence. Obviously can't look down into the restroom. And let's see, what else do I have on this level? I think that was it. Then on the site plan is, this is more of an architectural site plan, kind of showing you with the survey of the site below, you can kind of see where the new addition is. So currently, obviously, this is the full footprint of the bank building. The new addition kind of tucks in where the drive-through teller stations are right now. You can kind of see they're very similar to actually where the squad cars will drive through the garage. And really not, trying to keep any of the landscaping without really being touched and keep all that intact. One thing that we will have to add on the north entrance, because there is not a ramp there, we will have to add a handicap accessible ramp. So in this version here, the civil engineers have been working on a couple different schemes of looking at how it best fits in there, but it seems that a switchback will be necessary, and then we will have to stripe this parking lot with a few handicap accessible stalls as well, and kind of make sure the curb, obviously you can put in a new curb cut there to be able to get onto the sidewalk at that location. I think I went through that kind of fast, so I don't know if there's any questions. I know half the group kind of saw the same presentation last night, so if anybody else has any questions, I can go back to a certain plan and answer them. Or if you want to see the building program summary again.
I'd just like to reiterate a couple points that we talked about last night, and one that I think city hall staff or city staff need. I did read the comments on Facebook today about the sarcastic and negative comments towards the city council about stealing from the library, but in all reality, we need to share space and we need to plan for the future. I feel that the city hall area is planned for today and not for the next 10 years. Do you have a solution to expand the storage and the working area of city hall staff?
So as we discussed last night, and I think it's probably the easiest solution, as we discussed, of putting back this office that was kind of in this corner here. So you would have an extra office along with, potentially kicking out the mayor and the AADC person into like a workstation or something. But I think we could expand into this area here. So just pushing north. This is a new wall that we were proposing. So this is all new work kind of in this area. Because currently at that bank, it's wide open right there. So I think we'd put that wall back and then move, kind of basically shift everything over and just reconfigure this. Plus, I think it would give a little more square footage in the open office area here so that there's room to, if you need to add an extra workstation or more filing or something in the open office, there's a little bit more room there too. So, and to just go back to that summary page, we are, I can't do the math that fast, 260 square feet, essentially 250 square feet is what we're a little bit short on how the layout is right now. So it was a valid point brought up last night that the city hall should also, have the right amount of square footage. So the judge's office is kind of over here, but that's still included in that full square footage.
80 square feet for a municipal clerk and for the utilities clerk. I mean, some of us have closets in our houses bigger than 80 square feet. So, I mean, they need an open work area. And again, what happens when we add a second municipal court clerk or add a second utilities clerk in the future? Mm-hmm. We need to plan. This building's going to be here for the next 20 or 30 years.
Yep.
Longer. We need to plan ahead for that.
One other thought that I had was, I had actually the suggestion yesterday about doing something perhaps in the conference room on the second level in the police station, and I'm told that because of security reasons that is not an option. I don't know if the existing walls and those types of things are on that second floor, but the lobby area that's in the second level, where that service counter, office manager, all those things are, there seems to be an awful lot of space there. Could we take some space there, shift things down, and use that conference room for a workstation or the work office storage or a work area or anything like that? Because that's a very large room that is probably going to be underutilized at the same time, and use that very top, the top of the stairs for additional storage for City Hall. Yes, I realize it's upstairs, but there is an elevator. And again, that's space that's not accounted for. The police already has more space than what they currently have. That is perhaps another option in my mind. And it's not within the secured area of the police department.
And we actually, a couple of versions ago, we did actually look at one point having the Historical Society storage kind of up in this corner, because that is solid wall along here. So that's not, it's an outside wall, but there's no glass along here. So I think that is very, that's a good point. We did look at putting something up in this corner so that it would be accessible off the lobby, but not within that secured line. Yeah, we did discuss this conference room, which is the existing boardroom right now. It is unique in the sense that it has a lot of fun materials in there. There's wood slatted walls and ceiling and parquet floor with, inlay around with carpet. And it's kind of a hard room to really, if we really wanted to, yes, we could demolish this all out, but it seemed like it was a good fit for the conference room / briefing room that the police needed. Is just a little bit larger than what they would necessarily need. But I think they had eyed this corner over here to maybe use for storage, and maybe we'll wall that off slightly, but they were trying to figure out how to kind of capture some of that extra square footage also for their needs.
And the conference room, this is Tom from the police department there. The conference room is also used for a training room, and also it would be the break room as well there.
The issue is that's almost 1,000 square feet that is not going to get very much use versus the parts of the city hall that will be used every single day of the week. I too would like to, I don't, nobody likes to give up space, but I think if we could move some of the, maybe the evidence room, we have an evidence and a pre-evidence, and we have evidence storage downstairs. And I guess, some of that space downstairs seems to me that we're using a lot of room that is not going to be used very often. The large evidence storage, I guess the only question I would have for you, Tom, is how many times, first of all, that's not a big door, so you ain't going to get your lawnmower in there.
Well, I don't know. I think they put that in for just purposes there. The other thing I thought would be is that we may need to separate that, because we really have no storage in that garage like we do in today's world there for various items there. Otherwise, we'd have to consider an off-site storage building or something.
Sure, but in reality, how much storage do you have? Not very long ago, you had the old jail in the city hall was storage.
Yeah. We have all our bicycle safety stuff. We have some firearms equipment. We have old radio stuff. We need some maintenance stuff for our squads and things like that. If I read it correctly, that garage is probably about 2/3 the size of what we have right now. So,
but your overall square footage is larger. I didn't look at that personally, but so you're 4,400 square feet or 4,200 square feet more than the current storage or the current police department, correct? Is that what that's saying?
Nope, this is the column that we came up with of the proposed square footage.
Okay.
So
what's the
this unit
2,500?
is on here.
What's the 25,000?
This 25?
Yes.
That's what is actually programmed in the building right now.
So exactly. So you have 4,000 to 4,200 square feet more allotted for the PD for what seemed, yeah. And
yes.
I guess I think some of that we should try to recapture if that's a large evidence room, whatever. Perhaps the judge's chambers could go into that particular area with a doorway and give us more room in that particular area. That's so many square feet.
Well, this is, I didn't mention that again, but this is that existing stair. So looking at removing the stair and infilling the floor, and that's 135 square feet. It's kind of a longer, narrow room.
So even that, from a standpoint of a city hall storage area, would be, really helpful.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take anything from Tom. I don't mean that at all. But I've found that when you have square footage, you always grow into what you have. And I guess so that even at 135 square feet, that would be at least some, advantageous amount of square footage. And would be pretty easily solved by the large evidence or by a doorway through there, correct?
Yep, where the addition will be right off that existing wall.
Kleenex.
Yeah.
So maybe we're confused by the large evidence storage label, and it should just be a large storage area. Tom?
Well, I'm just looking at a way to get some more square footage for City Hall without cramping the whole thing, the police department. But it seems to me 4,000 square feet is the size of a pretty healthy sized house. And now we've added 4,000 square feet to the PD, and I don't think we've added a lick to the current City Hall square footage. So if we could even get the judge in there,
Yep, sorry.
that would be, seems to me that might be an appropriate trade-off.
I just want to clarify that the police aren't using an extra 4,000 square feet unless, are you adding the two together? I guess I'm trying to figure out where you're getting the 4,000 is building wide.
Yes.
So between what was programmed here at the 4,800 to what they have at, 6,500. And then if you add the garage, I guess, depends on how you do your math, but just want to clarify that they don't have 4,000 extra.
So,
Oh.
so the garage is
Down here.
smaller? Is that what you're saying? Is 14 and 15, 1,600 square feet less in the garage?
I guess I'm trying to figure out where you're coming up with your numbers. I just want to make sure that I'm.
The one that I'm
You're
looking
correct,
at right now, it says the police said 4785 versus 6480.
Yep. And
Yeah.
if you scroll.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I may have looked at that wrong.
So really it's, the garage is actually, it did shrink. We've already cut from the garage.
That's 200 square feet less. Okay.
But if I scroll up, sorry for all the scrolling, I know it's hard to read. But if I go to the work area, that's where we're over square footage because of that upper level needing to be just for the police, for the security,
Yeah.
purposes, and then some of the.
Yeah, and I totally, I understand,
Yeah.
once that's committed to the police department, that's a secure area, and that precludes having any extraterrestrial meetings in the meeting areas and things like that. That's pretty much space that's just not available for anything else. Makes sense to me.
I have a quick question about could you pull up the plan for the top level,
Sure.
please? Thank you. Isn't there a way that we could basically create that west side to be more of a secure area, right? If the pre-evidence and the evidence is secured and the squad room is secured, is there a reason that the conference room could not be, put it exactly, you read, smelled what I was stepping in. Can we secure that off over there to allow this conference room for use at least of city staff, maybe not general public, but at least with city and library staff if there was a larger, another staff meeting or department head meeting, right? It seems like there's an opportunity to create a secure enough location that they could get up into that area, which opens up another 600 plus square feet for use outside of the police department.
I think the best idea that I've heard tonight is at the top of the steps there on the east side would be where the elevator and the stairs are there, where the Amory Historical Society was going to be, use that for storage. And you can take some of the storage away there and take some of the police department space for the storage of city hall stuff and it's actually accessible, and the library is open.
You do realize that there's not much storage in the police department right now. When you combine that 12 by 12 room or whatever up there, it's a work, office, and storage area there.
Something that Tim brought up, I think toward the end of the discussion last night, was also, is there a creative way to combine some spaces like that squad room and the conference room to allow for a better storage system on the west side? That seems like they're two big spaces, and is there a way to either combine or switch them around or something so that you do have storage on that level, so we don't have to worry about it on the lower level?
I really like the idea of taking that conference room and squad room and combining them into one facility. We're not going to have conferences every day, and officers are only in there for a few hours at a time. So, I mean, it can be a reservable, configurable work area for the officers, along with a break area, because I know the officers eat in the squad room now, and a conference area as well. And then that gives you that whole big squad room area, or what's labeled squad room right now as a storage area.
Well, we certainly need, I know the police department needs storage as well there. Another one of my concerns would be is that in our area right now, which is totally for the police department, we have sensitive information that we pass along to the officers that we may post on boards and different
Can't
things like
read the
that.
number,
Tim.
but it looks like 300 some square feet. Anyways, with that squad room, or 300.
You're cutting out, so I'm 385.
If you go up to the lobby area, what would happen if those interview rooms?
Some proper racking system for a lot of equipment and a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
What would happen if instead of the interview rooms being separate from the lobby, if those areas like straight across from the service counter, right? Yeah, the north wall of the office manager. If that was extended across there, and then all of that area there could be multi-tasked area rather than dedicated to interviews and so on. And then the interview rooms,
police department storage,
go in the squad room or in the conference room area.
For an interview room, Dick, or Rich?
Yeah, with that, yeah.
I think that would be counterproductive there. We certainly want our interview room. We really want access to it just from the lobby there, so we don't need to be walking totally through the police department. I think you'd have a hard time combining anything in a conference room with an interview room there.
No, I'm just looking for a way to then bring those three areas together. What's the little room there that says IT
viewing
interview?
That's where some of the equipment would be, and also a one-way glass there that you can see into the interview room and observe.
Okay, and why do you think that wouldn't work to have that in the squad area? Because you're only talking about what, 40 feet maybe to have to walk?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't know the square footage there, but I think it's more conducive to have that just them go right from the lobby into an interview instead of walking through the police department there. I guess has always been our thoughts.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question? Was there a large differential in cost to infill that floor in that section versus, because you're going to have to secure that all the way up to the ceiling anyway, so you're building walls. Was there I'm assuming that when you were looking at the cost, that there was a large cost difference between the either or, right? Or
Right.
not?
Well, and the other piece of it is when our structural engineer took a look at it, the way the plank is running, we'd have to add more columns and beams to be able to
Okay.
infill the floor, and that's where it started to drive up the cost. Plus, you would be adding random columns kind of right in the middle of the lobby. So
Yep.
it
Can
was a
I
good
also give another
idea, but in reality, it wasn't working out as well.
Yeah, I have another clarifying question. Is this the intention of this meeting is to approve the budget, not to approve the floor plans, right?
Well,
Or is it both?
it's both. I think ultimately, we can, if you have comments, I'll take those back and we'll rework with the building committee on coming up with the solution. So, obviously we're hearing that we'd like to try to capture some of the square footage that we consider to be kind of excess on the upper level for the police, and we'll come up with solution with the police department and the rest of the building committee. I don't necessarily think that it's up to council to come up with that solution. So, I mean, that's my job essentially, is to come up with different ideas and work through that with everybody. I think
No,
we've also, oh, sorry, I was gonna say then, the other piece of it is obviously, we've been talking about the city hall, recapturing that square footage as well. So.
And I guess I would advocate that if we're adding, if we are aligned in adding more space for the city hall, then I think we need to figure out how we take it from the police department, not from the library, because the library is already over 4,000 below what the requirements were. And we could sit here all day arguing whether that was a fair assessment of how much they needed or not. But at the same time, we're looking that the police station has over 2,000 more square feet than they needed in the original proposal. So I think if we're adding any more space to the city offices, we need to be taking it from the police department, not from the library. That's just my opinion.
I agree with Chad. And I guess one other thing that I want to mention, because I'm continually hearing that, oh, well, we need to have space for this program and that program, and we need to have space for training, et cetera, et cetera. I think the thing that everybody is forgetting in this is that the reason we're doing this is to share space. And what's currently slated for the council and the meeting room, that's intended to be shared space. So if there's trainings that need to be done, I don't care whether it's the police or the library or if it's staff or if it's kids programs or whatever that is, that space is what that's for. It's not just to have city council meetings. It's not just to do elections. That is intended to be used by everybody. And that's the thing that I think people keep forgetting. And I'm tired of hearing about it. That's what that space is for. And it's not exclusive use by anybody. It's going to take a little bit more time to schedule it and have somebody responsible for scheduling that space. And that's just the way it is. That is a shared space for everybody, not just the city hall, not just the library, for everybody.
Good point, Sarah.
Yep. Well said.
Well, the problem with the police department upstairs is the walls are fixed, and we are trying to use as many walls as possible up there. So the dark blue on the west side and on the southeast corner are fixed walls already. It's the area at the top where you come up the steps and the elevator that is the new and addition area there. It's going to be hard to get shared space upstairs without extra added cost because we'll have to remove more walls and do more reconfiguration. And I think that's what our Jody has been trying to do here all along, is to do this. And the more I think about it, the more you look at it, you know, the large evidence room in the garage, the garage is the main cost of this whole building. The large evidence room in the garage, if that would be enough room for storage for City Hall with the entrance from the community room into that room there, we could probably get by with that for storage, and then the north part of the City Hall would have 2 more offices there without taking away from the library. Just an idea. We have to get the schematic kind of settled. If we say we're going to leave the library just the way it is, that's fine. Maybe we should sit down, the police department and the city council should sit down with Jody and hammer that part of it out. But we have to, it'd be nice to get this footprint moving forward. So they have stuff to work with. They have a timeline. We have a timeline, and make this happen.
I think it would be more conducive of what Paul is saying right now. And it might be easier there. The only take back from that would be is then that we would need to, like we had talked about at a previous meeting, if we have an impounded vehicle that we need to store, we would need to rent or build we would need to have an area that we could store it, any large evidence in, whether it be a rental or whether we build a small building or something like that.
Yeah,
How many
you know, and I thought about that too. And some of that times that rental might be pretty cheap. You know, we get these storage spaces around town that are secured and insured. And for $600 a year or 3 square feet of garage, it's we could rent pretty cheap something. So,
How many times do you have 4 vehicles in the garage, Tom?
Not very often.
Okay. So it's possible for on a temporary storage, you could maybe keep something in one of the stalls? Or are they dedicated?
It's possible there, but if we store something, then we're pretty much then we're eliminating the drive-through part of it, really. But
Yeah.
would that
Well,
large
this-
evidence storage be enough added room for City Hall? I mean, I think it would be more conducive there. It'd be easier for them to access that if they were able to put a door from the meeting room side there.
I agree. I think that would 200 square feet doesn't sound like a lot, but that's is a fair to middling chunk of storage area, especially because you can go clear to the ceiling with shelves and stuff like that. So maybe that is the best thought, is if we can repurpose the large evidence room to storage for the city office stuff. If that works, that would work for me. I think that probably would work. And then we have the 2 offices we could add the office space on the end there. Or just because those walls are all existing basically in that green area.
This gray color indicates existing. So the bank of offices, actually, we took a wall out right here, so we could put that
Okay.
one back. These ones here are all new, where it's kind of
Okay.
with heavier dark, black line. So
Yeah, and you don't have to take the entire existing plan of the record storage away either.
Right.
If you're adding one office, you still could have part of that as storage, and then have the other large evidence storage. So
Sounds like a plan.
Would you say, Jody, that would probably be the easiest and most cost effective?
yeah, I think that's a good solution.
Because there are those big windows. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll just have to, the next phase is to go into the detail where we'll come and, work with you. So we'll have to figure out the stuff that's supposed to go in this room where we're gonna put it, but
Well, some of that stuff you answered last night with a taller ceiling there or roof line there, where in our existing one right now, we're able to utilize some of that with shelves above the squads and things like that. Oh, it's not. Also, I was thinking that Will, in the Intox and the decon area there, will that roof go all the way to, will them walls go all the way to the ceiling, or would there be spots on there to put lightweight stuff?
we can talk about a mezzanine. There's code implications when you decide to do a mezzanine, but we could look into that,
Okay.
and see what that means.
Okay.
So the other piece of it that we haven't gotten to is the budget. We've indicated cost of things, but I don't know if people are ready to move on to having Market and Johnson review costs associated with the current layout.
Well, I have spent the day with Ben and Patty, working with Dave Rasmussen, Jonathan, to come up with an idea of how this would all work out and how we'd pay for this. So if you bear with me, the city of Amory will have to incur long-term debt to pay for this building from a source yet to be determined. Sources of this are banks and a state trust fund loan. As of right now, we do not have a quoted interest rate from any banks, although I was at Bremer today and they mentioned about 2%. We do, however, have the interest rates for a state trust fund loan, which is currently at 4% for a 20-year period. Overall, the city is able to incur a total amount of debt about $11.2 million. Currently, the city owes approximately $3 million, mostly in general fund debt. The city does have the option to attempt to offset some of these costs with funds from TIF 5 closeout and the possibility of TIF 6 paying for the infrastructure upgrades. TIF 5 has about $522,000 in assigned cash that can be put towards this project. Well, this is not the way I wanted to word it, but the TIF is able to sustain a total of $1.5 million in projects, which means that we can work with about $500,000 would be free to use for the city center project for infrastructure upgrades, water, sewer, or electrical upgrades are examples of qualifying expenses. TIF 6 is also being used to cover the purchase price of the building by paying back the general fund for the purchase of the bank building. The use of these funds will result in the entirety of TIF 5 and the sale proceeds from the condo association being placed into an unassigned fund balance. The total amount from these two sources is approximately $874,000. Half of this amount will be used, we propose half of this amount be used as a down payment towards the city center to reduce the yearly loan expense for the city, assuming $437,000 is used as a down payment. An additional $100,000 is used from TIF 6 to help with the site prep. The total loan amount would be about $2.9 million. A 20-year loan with a 2% interest rate would result in a yearly expense of $193,000. It is also expected the city will save, and I put in $20,000 in utility expenses, but I think as Chad, it's probably more like $40,000, but we'd have to figure out the exact amount. If the city chooses to levy this debt as a separate expense, it would result in an increase of about $20.40 per year for a house worth $20.40 per year. It's for a house worth $100,000. I don't think that's stated right. The cost per $100,000 would be $20.40. So if you have a $200,000 house, it'd be $40.80 a year to levy for this increase. The increase, the $193,000, which is cost per year, would how do I say this? Would be down to 173, probably 150. It's all variable here on how we finance this, but the bottom line is, it's gonna be $20.40 added to a $100,000 house, yes. We're not sure what other cash will be remaining after this year because 2020 is not audited. The auditor did know we need enough cash on hand to make our debt payments and 1-2 payroll periods at any given time, and that dipping into this may not be the best idea. We already have some unassigned balance earmarked for certain expenses such as airport fuel purchase, runway expansion bill from the Bureau of Aeronautics, the overage from the North Park bathrooms, and anticipated park repairs that keep coming up. Per the auditor, the city would be wise to borrow for as much as the project as possible to help increase the overall financial health of the city. He noted that other capital expenses could be rolled into this loan, such as the North Park bathroom and other unbudgeted costs at the building that were listed earlier because the price of money is at 2% approximately. In conclusion, it would benefit the city to borrow $4 million to create a contingency to cover for other unplanned expenses and related to project or other capital expenses. I don't know if I'm in agreement with borrowing $4 million. We'd have to look at that very in detail. And the other thing about borrowing from the bank at 2% right now, we could get a 20-year amortization, but we'd have to refinance in 10 years. So whatever the interest rate would be in 10 years would be our unknown factor. We also can go to and get bonds. We're going to contact a guy at Ellers Associates, I believe it is, and to talk about bonds. There is a high fee up front for the bonds, but the bond payments over 20 years, we can get down to probably 1.6%. So there's all kinds of trade-offs. There's things to be looking forward, but as far as the money out of the pocket of the citizens of the city of Amery, it'd be $20 for $100,000 value, approximately. All right. I think we covered that. I think I got most of the ducks in a row here. These numbers are fluid and moving, but we do have that 874,000, and we could put half of that in unassigned fund balance. We could put half of that back into, we'll just leave it unassigned for future unassigned purposes, because we're going to have some expenses come up, I believe, in the next year, way out of our control because of the projects that we are doing. I'll open it up for discussion. It's like you all have sticker shock.
You put this in one. Just so you know, this was compiled today, and the mayor put this, Ben put it in after we worked this through, and it's in OneDrive, so everybody can kind of go through what the mayor just kind of talked about. So.
In OneDrive, it's under City Center Financial Guideline.
Mm-hmm.
And does this all have to go back through Finance Committee, or are we moving forward with moving forward here?
We could tonight if you want.
We could tonight and keep the project moving forward if everybody's in agreement with the basic schematic and if everybody in city council is in agreement of moving forward.
Because one thing I would say is every month that we delay this project is additional costs that aren't in plan, right, for renting our current locations.
Correct.
Yes.
So that means we want it done by March, right?
Yeah, that would be nice, Chad.
I think we should
Patty,
move forward on this.
Yeah, I do too. Patty, did you say that information's already in the OneDrive, or it's going to be?
No, it's in there. It's in there. It's under, city center. What did we find it under?
City Center Financial Guideline.
Under the Bremer Bank building folder.
Yes. Oh.
No, it's in the November meeting folder.
Oh, okay.
Yep, November
I'm
meeting.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know where you put it. So it's there, and it's got some pretty solid, good information. I think we're in a good spot. You know, like the mayor stated, we just have to work it out to, you know, we don't
Right.
have the total.
At this point, you're talking about approving the schematic and approving the estimated cost, not necessarily how it's going to be financed, right? I mean, you're
Correct.
talking about options that we have, and I appreciate that a lot of work had to get done today just to pull together this much information.
Mhm.
But we
It's
don't
just
have,
it's just yeah.
yeah, we don't have to decide if that's, you know, what's the appropriate mix, because I think that
No, we
takes a
can
little bit
fund
of
it.
thought. Yeah, what it tells me is that there are ways to fund it, and
Yep.
if we can find the best way that gets it done effectively without costing, you know, with costing the least to our taxpayers is probably the best. So we should be talking about the schematic and the estimate or quote that we've seen at 3.5 million.
I would agree with you, Eric, yes.
Yes, I agree. And in finance last night, I know most of you are on the call as well, and we had requested to get this information that Paul has provided to us. Again, just wanting to know that there is going to be, you know, a way to pay for this that's not going to be 100% on the taxpayers. And I guess with that said, I like the information that's just been presented. We know that there's going to be some additional funds that are available for us that will help offset the cost. And I guess at this point in time, like where are we? I mean, we need to say, yes, go forward. Are we going to take a little time and think about this a little longer? Or yeah, I agree with Chad. We don't want to be waiting forever. What's everybody else's comfort level as far as saying, yes, let's go ahead?
I don't
Can I
see
ask
anything
another-
changing. Yeah, go.
Yeah, and I guess I have another clarifying question. When we hired the construction management company of oh my goodness, I just lost who we hired.
Market and Johnson.
Yep, that we had a guarantee that it wouldn't cost over X. So what we're approving tonight, is that what we're guaranteeing, that it's not going to cost over 3.4, whatever the number is, 3.4, it's not million? Because wasn't that part of the whole reason that we hired the construction management, was so we could?
Yeah, Chad, this is Jeremy with Market and Johnson. So at this point in time, this is a schematic budget, the schematic estimate. When we start talking about a guaranteed maximum price, that is established when design is done and we're able to take bids from contractors, from electrical contractors, mechanical contractors. I mean, we could give you a guaranteed maximum price at this point in time, but it'd be a lot more than that 3.491 million. So at this time, that's our best estimate with the information that we have.
Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily asking for it right now. I just wanted a point of clarification at what point we were with that. So
yes, you will get that, but it will be when the documents get done and we're able to take hard quotes from all the trades involved with the project, and then you will get that guaranteed maximum price. Any savings that we come in, if our actual costs come in below that, you get the savings back. If we go over our guaranteed maximum price, that's our problem.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess what I would say is, if we're at these numbers and this schematic, and in general we approve of it, I don't see anything that's going to change between now and our next meeting. So I guess that I would suggest this is where we would be.
Are you making that a motion?
Well, I can. I was kind of hoping that, that this is something that finance has been looking at pretty carefully. I will, but I don't want to take anything away from you guys. If that's what you need, I move that we move forward with the schematic that's been presented, knowing that there can be changes, and the approximate quote that's putting us close to $3.5 million.
Thank you for that, Eric. I will actually second that motion.
Do we have any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Should this be a roll call vote?
Roll call, probably.
Sure.
Yes, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, let's go with Strobush,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Bynum,
Yes.
Riemann Schneider,
Yes.
Elkin,
Yes.
Van Blaricom.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Thank you, Jody and Market and Johnson. We look forward to working with you. And let's get this project done.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
March.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Item number 2, discussion recommendation from finance, sale of Amory Dog Park, Soldiers Field.
This came out of finance last night, and we are proposing to the city council to list the appropriate areas where the dog park is currently located and Soldiers Field, to list them for sale. And so I will make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion recommendation from finance, resolution 10-2020, authorizing submission of economic development EDA Public Works application.
This as well came out of finance, and Paul, you might need to help me with this, but the reason this is coming about is the original grant that we had applied for, there are no more funds available. And so this particular one that we're wanting to apply for is a 50-50 split. It would be funds directed for the South Industrial Park project. So I will make a motion to approve resolution number 10-2020, authorizing the submission of the EDA Public Works application.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Discussion recommendation from public safety, mayor proclamation providing for face coverings within the city of Amory.
And just a point of note, the proclamation that the mayor read last night reflected the figures as of yesterday. This proclamation has been updated to reflect today's figures.
I don't know if you want to read the whole proclamation again there, Paul, or not, or?
I sure can. Let's do it. Whereas a novel strain of coronavirus named COVID-19 has spread throughout numerous countries, including the United States, and whereas the World Health Organization has declared a public health emergency of international concern, And whereas on March 12, 2020, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers issued executive orders 72 relating to a proclamation declaring a health emergency in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus. Whereas of November 18th, 2020, there were 331,837 cases in Wisconsin with 2,793 deaths. There were 1,633 cases in Polk County with 9 deaths. Whereas many individuals with COVID-19 may be asymptomatic or may experience delayed onset of symptoms, in which time such individuals may transfer the virus to others. Whereas the CDC expects that widespread transmission of COVID-19 in the United States will occur, and that in coming months, most of the U.S. population will be exposed to this virus. Whereas the CDC anticipates that widespread transmission of COVID-19 would translate into large numbers of people needing medical care at the same time, causing public health and healthcare systems to become overloaded and affecting other critical infrastructure such as law enforcement, emergency medical services, sectors of and transportation industry. Whereas the city of Amory has an interest in protecting the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and those visiting the area from the continued spread of COVID-19 throughout the community. And whereas the city of Amory is stating face coverings should be worn by any person in a public place within the city of Amory directly serves that interest by avoiding and or reducing further spread of COVID-19 and minimizing the strain on healthcare resources while enabling the continuation of essential services, businesses, and social and commercial life. And whereas every individual age 5 and older who is present in the city of Amory should wear a face covering that covers their nose and mouth in indoor areas accessible to the public. And also, if 2 or more individuals riding in the municipal vehicle will be required to do so also. Now, therefore, this declaration is enacted by the City Council this 18th day of November, 2020.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second?
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's move on here.
Could I just make a
Discussion.
could I make a comment first?
Yes,
about
you
the-
sure can.
Any way that we can emphasize how important this is as a council, as citizens of Amory, is very important. So I'm just asking everybody on this council to make sure that we let people know that this is something, this is kind of the least we can do at the moment. So let's make sure that we let people know where our support is.
Right. I'd agree with you, Eric. I just would maybe add one other thing. End of the day, the city council, I don't believe wants to legislate or through ordinance to wear a mask. This is our first attempt to really encourage everyone. Our hospitals are encouraging it. They're busting at the seams. Our school district is encouraging it because they want to get back open. The Amory Community Club is encouraging it because they want to keep businesses open. Over the last week, 3 businesses have had to close their doors because of exposure to COVID-19 within their business. It's important that we take this seriously and do everything we can to stop. So again, without an ordinance, we're not going to be having the police department running around issuing citations, because that's not what we did here tonight. But it is important that we're doing that because we don't want to have to take it to the next step. And it's not, I don't think I'm not intending that to come across as a threat. It's really a plea to let's all do the right thing to keep everything going.
And I think as we look at the situation now, people are starting to really realize how devastating this is to our community, our county, and our state. So yes, let's make everybody aware.
Thank you, everybody, for that.
Okay, discussion recommendation from public committee, public safety, gun range, environmental impact. I believe that was,
Mhm.
That was
Stay
tabled
there.
until next month.
yep, perfect. Okay, closed session, Wisconsin statute 1985 1C, police chief, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
Motion to go into close.
Second.
Roll call?
Let's see. Strobush,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Flannel.
Yeah.
Raymond Schneider,
Yes.
Elkin,
Yes.
Van Blaricom.